And then we get to a point where those 5 years passed, your term was ended. What happened there? You are a child of Blue Mosmos. What caused these people from there to cut you out of the whole picture?
Listen, you can never tell, but there's something that really was very funny towards the end of my term in Lekwatemane. People would always accuse me of not helping much. Like, Letebele how re thusi thata, like something like that. And I would always wonder, what does this mean?
Dumelang bagolo, Ntate Blow here with the Xchange podcast. And in today's show, we have a very special and distinguished guest. And yeah, before I introduce him to you guys, I'd like to read this part. And yeah, it's a summary of my distinguished guest. This morning, I was thinking, how am I going to introduce him to the show? And then something just came up. I sent someone a WhatsApp message. Tell him, hey man, just send me a summary of Bra T. How can I introduce him on the podcast? So this is what he wrote today. Today we are honored by the presence of no other than a selfless, high-principled, and a man with moral superiority. In him we have an educator, a revolutionist, a leader, and a government official. We will be talking about his early life in the then Youth League and paved the way for the freedom that we enjoy today. His educational background, career, family, and the organization called Build, which he engineered. So yeah, I would like to welcome onto the show Mr. Oatile Letebele, properly known as Tuna Letebele, wherever we go. So Bra T, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you,
and
thank you, my
this intro was wrote by Cyrus.
Okay.
So I contacted him this morning, say, man, just send me that thing through. That's what he sent.
Yeah, no, the superior part is taking me the bit out, but yeah, well, it's humbling, but I try. The issue of being principled is something that we should all strive for, because it's principles that guide us and that help us do good. So I think that is something that we all must strive for. But
and another thing, before we go too fast, I have another note here. Hey guys, sorry for the cell phone, but there's another note here. Before we go too far, it's about what you just said and your dream. I found it somewhere on the internet. I don't know if you can remember it. So this is what you wrote on the internet way back. I think you were still at UWC, University of Western Cape. And you wrote there, I dream of the world free of the struggles and pains brought by poverty and any form of inequality. I have a strong belief that this can be achieved when a democratic and accountable government is supported by a strong civil society organizations. So is that still your dream, Bra T?
That is generally the basis of my participation in the liberation struggle, because we were guided by the need for a better life for all our people. When the African National Congress took over and they started talking about the better life for all, it was very impressive, because that was what spurred us into joining the liberation struggle, because we thought that our people deserve better than what they were getting under apartheid. We think they still deserve that under the democratic government. But I also believe, as I said there, that civil society organizations are quite crucial in the achievement of that better
So
life.
is that still your dream?
It will remain my dream until my last breath on earth.
I don't believe that part. Maybe you had other dreams now. Just because I reminded you, now you remembered. Ish.
In what I do, the basis is the advancement of humanity. So that cannot change as my dream. Even if I can come with a new objective goal for the next 2 years, it would all be premised on that broader vision. Mm-hmm. So it remains my vision until my last breath.
Yeah, you brought it. So now let's go back to the beginning, where it all started, where you were born, until to this point. So can you give us a background overview? Because I also see somewhere on your profile you did not attend schools in Bloemhof. What happened?
No, I did attend school in Bloemhof actually. I'm told.
Oh, you don't recognize them.
I do a great deal. I mean, I'm a product of Matlajaneng. My first school is Matlajaneng Primary School, and I only attended 1 year in Tamagane, and then moved to Kuruman because of me being a naughty boy that I was developing to be. My parents thought that I should go to Kuruman under the proper guidance of my brother, Steve Oatile Letebele. And that is where my political learning started shaping. Because in the Denbu Putatwana, some of the books.
Didn't it start in Bloemhof?
No, it actually started in Kuruman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because what happened was, we all learn from reading. And in Kuruman, we had libraries at Batlaro Tlaping that were open, that had books that were banned in South Africa. So one was reading quite greatly books like A Ride on
No, I don't understand. Kuruman was part of South Africa. Why does it sound like it was?
Mutibistad in Kuruman. Yeah, almost we got so used to apartheid's mentality that you rarely talk Bitumelo, you'll always talk Bloemhof. You rarely talk Cavandale, you will always talk Bloemhof. So that is the basis of my approach to where
So you had access to those books in Mutibistad?
In Mutibistad, Bupudatswana then, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, books like A Ride on a Whirlwind, To Every Breath is Blood, Anatomy of Apartheid, and all those other books. And they started making one alert. And I started very early because I went to Kuruman as a 12-year-old. When I was 13, I was in the middle school doing standard 5. And then that's where... actually, when I was 12, I was in the middle school doing standard 5. Okay. And that is when I started debate at school and started reading a lot. And then my political consciousness started developing.
And you attended school until what grade or standard there?
It's actually
funny.
What
was standards, not grades?
I attended through middle schools, then at 5, 6, and 7 in the Ketlelejo Middle School. And then in 1985, I was in Batlaro Tlaping. 1986, I was in Batlaro Tlaping High School.
Is it still there?
It's still there, and that is the last school I attended in Mutibistad, and I left there because I was expelled.
What happened?
No, we had issues with our standard 8 exams, the current grade 10 standard 8. We were told somewhere in the middle of the year, I think, that it will be an external exam, and we felt we did not finish the curriculum or the syllabus, and then...
So you as a student felt that?
We did not, because I still remember in our biology book, we didn't even go past chapter 7. And the examination was going to look at the entire syllabus. So we wrote, but under protest. So
this protest that's happening at CUT now is not something new. It comes all the way from Mutibistad.
That's where one started. Because I remember after we wrote our last paper, we marched through the street of Mutibistad to the second office. We were joined by learners from Suoding and other areas, the villages around Mutibistad, and then we were addressed by the then Inspector Mr. Olele, if I remember well, who was not happy with us. By then in Bupudatwana, they would address us as Banaba Central, like we are from Central and bringing all that nonsense in Bupudatwana. And we were dispersed. When we came back, the standard 9s and matriculants of then also had issues, and they were dismissed by police. We got involved into that, and then the following day, my brother woke me up very early. Semona, I know that the police will be looking for you. Leave now.
How old were you then?
15.
So you're already part of the struggle.
Yes, man. It's
wanted.
The South African situation did not dictate about age or anything. Stompie Sipe was 13 years when he died, meaning that he started even far earlier. So you could imagine, even the Hector Peterson was very young when he died. So it was not about whether you become older or younger. It was the consciousness. As the consciousness developed, you join into the struggle and you...
So from there, your brother woke you up early that morning. Where to now?
I left Mutibistad, took hitchhike to Bloemhof the following year. I don't know. I'm told that the report that I took to another school was the same results, but not the same report because of the red markings below. Because if I would have used the same report, I wouldn't have got school at any other place. Because then, remember, it's 1986, man.
So from there, you went back to Bloemhof.
I went back to Bloemhof the following year, started looking for school in Swaziland. I was almost admitted, but felt Swaziland is not for me. Went to Orkney, Kanana High School, 1987, 88, standard 9 and 10. Got a school leaving certificate at standard 10. Stayed at home, pursued the struggle. And then 1992 felt that I wanted to go back to university. So I went to Gaopalelo Secondary to go get my exemption. Got my exemption and I taught in 1989 actually, while I was still looking for life or whatever was I looking for in Boskale. I mean in Kingswood. The school
Kingswood, there's nothing there. Mas.
The school was there were people staying there.
I was working that sections. I saw nothing there.
No, Piet, you walk now in 2000. I'm talking 1989. It's way back. So there were people staying in farms around there, in farm villages around there. I taught at Boskale for just about 3 months, and I left. The white man there was not happy with me, the owner of the farm, because I objected to some of the things about kids not allowed to go to school because they have to go to work in the farms and all those things. So my teaching career stopped after 3 months.
So you were interfering with the production of that farms?
Maybe that's what they thought, yeah. So I was at home, part of the Boyko leadership.
Boyko? Boyko, yes. Isn't it something new?
That Boyko is actually based when Reggie started. He asked me about Boyko, the Boitumelong Youth Congress, which was an organization of the youth then.
So it's something they picked up from way back.
Yes, but they are a youth council, not a youth congress. We were a youth congress.
It's just different words. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, but they are. you could say that, but we were a wing of the then South African Youth Congress, which was a youth wing within the broader UDF structures, and then later on it merged with the youth section from Exile and became the ANC Youth League internally under the leadership of Peter Mukaba. And later on, I went back to school in Gaopalelo to do my matric, got my exemption.
But Bra T, I don't see that on your profile. Even your LinkedIn profile. Bloemhof schools are not mentioned there.
They are, man. I don't know why.
I was wondering, what schools are these, young?
No, then I must go back into my profiles and correct it. I went back. My first schooling was in Bloemhof. My last school was in Bloemhof.
So you ended up at Gaopalelo?
Yes, got my exemption, and then in 1993 could not be admitted to any university. Mr. Mawela, the then principal, was short of mathematics and science teachers, so he took me in. I worked as a teacher again for 9 months, and then the following year, 1994, I was admitted at Potch University.
You were a teacher without a degree or grade?
Without a degree.
And now it's tough. Life was good most back then.
Yeah, and I think I should have gone on and done the teachers' courses out of that. I would have been a principal by now, I think.
Now done with Bloemhof. Where to next after that?
Potchefstroom University. Got into a lot of trouble there as part of the student movement.
So, Bra T, you didn't go to study, you went there to fight?
No, I went there to study, but the conditions there would not allow me to just stand and observe what was happening. Had a lot of fighting with African boys there. In 1995, which was actually my first year, because 1994 in the main, it was a bridging program. Then in 1995, when I was in now to start studying, I had a huge fight with some of the whiteys there at the Yule Plus, I think that's what they called it. And there and then I was called into the student dean's office. My bursary was started questioned, my performance in the past there, and all those things unraveled. And there was other issues on the family front, and then I dropped from Potch University.
Boys.
Yeah, that's me.
So how long After Port University, did you stay at home or did you go to the next university?
No, I immediately started with community development organizations. I was part of the Bloemhof Development Forum. I worked as a paralegal. I registered with Intech, but I couldn't finish any course because I was just there, man, drinking a lot and fighting in the street.
You were busy.
I later, there's a lot that I tried, man. But then my connection to the Bloemhof Legal Education and Development Center, the advice center there in Bloemhof, gave me a great exposure. And I met up with Mr. Thabo Khaile, who was the manager within the local government partnership program at the University of the Western Cape. He developed interest on me. I was a sharp little boy. So he developed an interest on me and he recruited me to join a certificate in economic development course at the university. 6 months down the line. Or how long was it? 6 months, yeah, I think so.
So that was a new journey to Cape Town.
Yeah, they asked me to serve as their intern in the Northwest office in Klerksdorp. And within a few months, they said to me, "Now we are happy with you. We want you to be the coordinator of the same local government partnership program in Limpopo." And that's when I went to Polokwane in 2004-05. My then immediate boss, Themba Nkwinika, resigned from Fairshare to another organization. Mr. Sello Hlatsa held on for a while, and then they said to me, "Hey, are you interested to be our national coordinator and camp based in Cape Town?" It was a moment I cannot
Did you think about it or just said yes?
It was automatic. How do you start thinking about
You must
going
think Cape Town is far from
to be
home,
based
man.
at the university
How
with
many
academics? It was just a given, man. It was a given.
Oh, but it's almost the same distance, was Limpopo.
No, it's not.
Limpopo and Cape Town from Bloemhof.
Bloemhof is almost
Bloemhof
1,000
is center.
kilometers. That one is 600.
Oh,
Yeah.
not bad. You could have stayed there, Mos. It's closer to home.
I got a promotion, man. I had an opportunity to go and be within an academic environment with all those bright people so that they can give some of the brightness to me, man.
And
So
see
it
new
was an
parts of South
opportunity I
Africa.
could not lose. Yeah.
Now, when you ended up there, Bra T, how was it? How was it being in Cape Town for the first time?
To be honest, I never was interested in Cape Town's lifestyle and anything. What was my immediate focus was learning and nothing else.
No long street every weekend, yeah, jive,
No,
jive.
man, those were some things that would happen in 3 months and so. I was like focused on learning, reading and developing myself. That was my interest in Cape Town. I then had to go back to Polokwane again in 2010, if my memory serves me well. And then when I came back again from Polokwane back to Cape Town, that's when I started having interest in the Cape Town nightlife and groove and all those kind of things.
Oh, you're a veteran now, Cape Town
Yeah,
veteran.
no, I felt that I knew, and I was then studying for my advanced diploma in public administration. Went on to study for an honors degree in public administration. Oh, at some point I also registered at UNISA, and I don't know what happened. I was registered for a degree in development studies. It just died.
And there was a time, I don't know if you can remember it, but you were in Bloemhof with a white Golf. This white Golf.
Yeah, man. You when you come from Cape Town, I would hire a car to drive home. So
I'm not sure if you were in Cape Town or in Limpopo.
I was in Cape Town.
But that one time I came from Joburg back to Bloemhof. I got there late at night. Then you found me in town. Hey man, I want to come. Then you gave me a lift.
I don't remember. I drove that little machine from Cape Town to Bloemhof. Actually, yeah, it was.
That
quite
night
an
is like
interesting-
you were like restless. You didn't want to sleep that night. Say, hey man, where you stay? Near Coverdale. Gave me a lift to Coverdale. You dropped me at home.
You see
And
that-
on the way, you even asked me, hey man, whose family? I say no, that. But you only knew Jan then.
No, not Jan, man. I think it.
You
would
knew
have been-
Jan. I said Jan. Then there's the only person you knew.
Okay. But
Dropped me at home. That same time you wanted to go to Swizer. You must go well, or else.
Listen, that was the downside of me not enjoying the lifetime in Cape Town, because I was this very disciplined guy when I'm in Cape Town, and when I come home for that weekend, I would want to pay out for those 3 months and get the groove. Yeah. So that was the downside of me being in Cape Town, because when I was home, I was letting loose.
And
in the real sense.
What closed the Cape Town chapter?
Aish.
You could have stayed in Cape Town.
I agree. The only positive thing from me leaving Cape Town is my wife.
But you could have taken her there.
No, I mean, we just met. She was not even sure that
More opportunities there.
She was not even sure I was the real deal then. But I knew she was the real deal, and I wanted to be next to her. So when I was offered to come and lead the development agency in Lekwateman, I grabbed it with both hands. That decision disturbed me greatly, because I could have been a PhD graduate
in
now.
Cape Town.
Yes, I could have been now, because my target was 22 to 2016. But yeah, man, I think I chased the wrong dream, because I'm now locked into public service, something which I don't think I'm made up for. But I'm doing my best there. But I think my life was supposed to have been in the academy, in the academics, and then stayed there. I would have been Professor Letebele now. But yeah, a bit of a bitterness out of the general sweetness. But I think if there was no my wife in the occasion, that decision would be haunting me quite greatly now.
Then your new life started in Bloemhof now.
Yes, I was appointed as the program manager for the Lekwateman Local Development Agency, an agency for which I was a non-executive director before I was appointed.
How long were you in that post?
August 2011 to October 2012. Because in November, I was appointed the Director of Corporate Services at the Lekwateman Local Municipality.
Wasn't it after Andrew?
No, Andrew came after me.
Oh. So, after that, in that time when you were in that post, how was it there? Did you enjoy it, or was
the development agency?
Yeah.
I greatly enjoyed it, actually. It was a new learning, because for me, having worked throughout within what I will call development organizations, paralegal, the fair share in the University of the Western Cape, you are able, man, to have that semblance of independence in the way you do your work. As long as the program has been outlined and you are delivering accordingly, that was beautiful for me. But then you come into this space that is highly regulated, and you are also assigned the task of establishing an agency that
So you were starting it?
Yes. There was a moment where it was handled by a consultant from Pretoria, I think. And then I was the first official directly appointed there to build structures and develop programs, controls, policies, and all those kind of things. And then I was appointed as the Director of Corporate Services. That's when I left.
And from there, no, you didn't leave Lekwateman.
No, I did not, yeah.
No, you were promoted or moved to another one?
I left the agency to go and be a director within the municipality now.
No, explain to me. The agency, where was it?
It
was independent.
It is an entity of the municipality. It is an entity of the municipality. It is also guided via MFMA, but there's also the Companies Act picture into the whole running of the agency. So it's like you running some of the development programs, economic development programs of the municipality, but independent of the municipality to some extent, but you're reporting to the municipal manager, and also your audit processes become component of the municipality and all. By the way, when I was there, the agency got a clean audit.
But how did that agency influence Bloemhof?
Unfortunately, looking at the agency,
who was the
today,
beneficiaries there?
Looking at the agency today, I think I can safely say it's still where it was when I was there, because there are no projects that are running, if I'm correct, because we started investigating a number of projects to be implemented, pick nuts, beef beneficiation, and all the other things, including the mall, which I was not in favor of, but the agency leadership wanted the mall, because I would always argue, how do you
I also wanted mall. Where is it?
But how do you want to have a mall in a place that does not have a buying power? Your focus should be in building the agricultural production and beneficiate your agricultural production by having some.
Even if it was a small mall like Taung Mall.
But those are the things that come after the process. The agricultural development, agro-processing. With agro-processing, there's more employment coming, and then the mall becomes a need because there's buying power. But then if you go, you had Bloemhof having Pick n Pay, which was downgraded to something else. Remember?
Was that Pick n Pay? Wait.
It was Pick n Pay. There were the graders there.
Oh, there.
It was a Pick n Pay, and then it was downgraded to something.
It was
right
far
value.
there, most people
And
didn't
it
want to
became
go
right
there.
value. But people didn't have money to buy there. That's why that thing ended up closing.
No, it was far. That extra stretch from Spa to there. No, people
I
like
doubt that was the reason. But there was no buying power. You couldn't sustain Spa and right value at the same time. And
Look, ShopRite is there now. It's still standing.
What?
ShopRite.
Yes.
And there's now a new store. What is this one?
But it's 15 years later, most people. So there should be some, there would be some development. It's 15 years later. There's more of you having left home, working outside, sending money home. So besides people not working, there's a lot of your monies that you are making in Bloemfontein, Josie, and anywhere that is sent home, and people can buy with that money. So it's that there's been changed, but
I'm thirsty. I should have brought a gin. But
I still don't believe Bloemhof is ready for a mall.
Okay, from that department, you went into the municipality now.
Yes, into the Devil's Den.
Why do you call it the Devil's Den?
If I don't know how to explain this.
So you couldn't make a decision there.
No, I chose, but then to be honest, my decisions were money based. I don't think that my decision to go full into public service were any other thing but the money's involved. I from time to time get back to myself and say, but this is not where I belong. But I'm still there. I'm now even in a bit worse setup.
Which position was that?
Director Corporate Services.
Oh, you're still living it now. In a different municipality. You're not going to discuss this municipality. It's your current.
Yes,
let's stay in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, but that is just the thing, man. I don't think I'm a public service person. You have discussions with people and you learn that you get stressed by things that people would like wonder, why is this person stressed by this? It's like, it's okay to not perform.
Okay, not to perform.
Yeah, that's how people behave when you are stressed about your inability to perform because of whatever condition. People will be like, why would he be stressed? And it makes me pain, man, because I believe that I need to earn whatever kind of money.
So you got to a point where you can relax and still get your salary.
I can't. I don't relax. I don't relax in my workspace. I want to do the best for whatever pennies that I get.
So, Brati, you were there for 5 years?
Yes, full 5 years.
So, during your 5 years, what were you doing there?
Remember, corporate services is a department. The director reports to the municipal manager. So, in Lekwatemane, I was responsible for facilities management. I was responsible for HR.
Which facilities?
The municipal facilities.
No, that's a broad statement.
Yes, it is.
Like it's specific, like
your municipal offices, your other things that are there that belongs to the municipality.
Oh, nothing to do with the community.
No.
Only municipal, okay.
Corporate services is a support unit within them. It's a support directorate within the municipality.
Okay, facilities, HR,
ICT, and then council and administrative support.
When you say council support, is the councillors?
Like in Lekwatemane, then Lekwatemane was a what do I call it? The term is gone now. You would have your executive council with an executive mayor type. You would have the collective executive system, and then you would have the plenary system, where you do not have full-time politicians and all those kind of things. And then corporate services becomes responsible for arranging council meetings, taking minutes, ensuring that councillors' issues are attended to, and all those kind of things, which is council support. And then administrative support, ensuring that workers have tools of trade and all these other kind of things.
So that post actually had nothing to do with the community.
That's why I'm saying it's a support.
I don't want to even get into it.
But that is also where people miss it, because without a well-supported workforce.
But you were there supporting all these councillors, still no service was delivered.
And I was also supporting the workers to get their uniform and all those kind of things. So that is critical. But also, don't say there was no services delivered. Man, what do you mean? I still believe that. That 5-year term where we were in Lekwatemane was doing better than before, and to some extent, I can argue that it's doing better than now. Hey, man, I'm applying for posts at some municipalities. You are making me say some things that will make me not be appointed.
No, I said it. You didn't say it. I said it. And then we get to a point where those 5 years passed, your term was ended. What happened there? You are a child of Blue Mosmos. What caused these people from there to cut you out of the whole picture?
Listen, you can never tell, but there's something that really was very funny towards the end of my term in Lekwatemane. People would always accuse me of not helping much. Like, Letebele how re thusi thata, like something like that. And I would always wonder, what does this mean? I was never charged for any wrongdoing, for underperformance. I was always available when I'm needed. I was doing my best under very difficult conditions because that municipality did not have money and all those things. So I think I was giving my all. But at the later stage, people started accusing me and other senior managers who were on the way out there to say that Hari Tusi Tata. Now at the later stage when I asked, but what does this mean? You see, so I was not helping people to have money.
So what does it mean? You were not
helping
cutting
people
the
to
corners.
have money. Some of those kind of things. So I think that was my biggest downfall, or that was the biggest reason why I couldn't be reappointed and all those kind of things. And the other thing is with Letebele is the book or the highway. So when you come to me and expect me to take wrong instructions, forget it. That will never happen.
So you're not helping enough with the book.
Yes. So
looking at the book. Yes, my guidelines.
Yes. And
people come here, man, I leave the book. Let's do this thing fast.
There's regulations in local government, and it's that or nothing else. So I'm not going to help Pietres have money, and then tomorrow my reputation goes down the ground, and I'm called corrupt and all those kind of things. That will never happen.
Yeah. Before we go over to this last thing, the biggest topic I want to talk about. Sarah sent me a question. He wanted to know something from. I didn't want to advertise this thing. I'm going to meet Bra T, send questions because of these things. I didn't want a million questions to deal with. So let's get Sarah's question out of the way. Then we move to build. Because before other people see this podcast and say, Tuna was pimping other municipalities there, don't appoint him.
Well, I'm not. If you're talking the truth, you're not afraid of what people can hear. It's fine.
So Cyrus wanted to know, is there any difference between the then Youth League and the current Youth League in terms of leadership?
The context is different, but the commitment to people's development should still be the same. I just want to make that clear before I respond. Mm-hmm. We were fighting a liberation struggle against a monstrous system of apartheid, and we had to do things different. Ne? The current youth have got a space, have got regulations and everything that allows them to influence government decisions positively. So those are the two different contexts. So they can be different or similar. But one thing that should be similar from both is the commitment to the betterment of the people's life. We were committed to that. I can say that without even betting an eyelid. We were committed to the development of our people. That is why we were prepared to put our lives on the line for the freedom of our people and the betterment of their lives. So we were fully committed. But now we've got youth leaders who become part of the conflicts within the ANC. They even forget about their generational mission and concentrate in fighting the old people's fights and become embroiled into the corrupt processes within the organization. And in the process, they're killing the organization. The very youth who are supposed to be working towards the strengthening of the African National Congress, so that when they inherit it from the older generation, it should still be the viable vehicle that it's supposed to have been. But their commitment to people's life is not as good or as upright as ours, man. So that is the difference.
It's about the money.
It is. I remember Jeff Mpumela once said to me, Comrade Tuna, you know the struggle was a unifier, because when you were looking the other side and I was behind you, you could always be confident that the bullet will not hit you if I have anything to do with it. But today, when you turn your back, it could be my bullet in your back. And it's all because of money. It's all because of money. So I keep saying that I'm happy that I joined the African National Congress before money became the deciding factor. Because I keep wondering whether would I have been strong enough as a young boy of 25, of 19, to not be dragged into the money thing. There's been a lot of white people who approached me.
Aren't you tired now of being a comrade, Bra T?
Don't
you want to try other parties?
I believe in the mission of the mission of the African National Congress.
But the mission is no longer important now.
I believe in what the African National
The factions that's important now.
I believe
and these
in
factions, they don't go according to...
Those are side shows. Those are side shows, even though they are more prominent than the real show. They are side shows. But the African National Congress, I still believe in what it represents. But yes, I would not argue with you when you say the African National Congress has gone the other direction, because majority of the people within the African National Congress has gone the other direction. But I still believe in the African National Congress.
So yeah, Bra T, you must come over to other parties, man.
Never.
Weren't you a member of COPE once upon a time?
I was, actually. Hey, that's a very good question. I was. And many people want me to feel ashamed. You know, I was so damn angry when Thabo Mbeki was removed that I actually joined COPE consciously. Like, it was not like something that happened by mistake. It was a very conscious decision. And I walked around the clock around Bloemhof to try and build COPE into a meaningful force. But at the back of my mind, I always have this inkling that this movement, after it becomes powerful, it would come back to the African National Congress as a powerful bloc that would retake the African National Congress back to where it was. Unfortunately, the dream crashed very fast for that matter.
Where's COPE now? Eh? Is it still on the ballot papers?
It's still there. You can ask Lekota and Shilua what happened.
They should give up.
Crashed very fast.
They should give up.
But immediately, when it started crashing, I said to myself, I'm going back home.
No,
and my colleagues at the UWC were actually very surprised to say, a guy such a bright thinker than you, do you really consciously going back into the ANC? I said, yes, I'm doing that. But I would still do it even if we can go back now, because I think it was the right decision. Going back into the African National Congress.
Right decision for who, Bra T? For you or for the masses?
For me, and I believe to some extent the masses. But for me, I believe in the African National Congress. I will not shy away from saying that.
Yeah, no, Bra T, that's how it is for you. So let's close those chapter now and move over to build now.
Yes.
What is build?
Now, when you started, you said you read something about me where I speak about strong civil society. That is the basis of my idea or the decision to establish a structure like Build. Build is something that came through back in 2018, even though it's still at the starting phase now. Remember, I started at I
remember the time
Facebook.
I sent you an SMS. I thought it was an old message.
Yes.
And I thought it's something new.
Yeah, it's no. I was reading on civil government and civil society. That was one of my courses in the UWC when I was doing honors. State and civil society, actually, that's what it's called. So part of my reading was reading on the impact of civil society movements around the world. And I picked up on an organization based in Baltimore, in the States, the Baltimoreans United in Leadership Development. It's an amalgamation of various formations from faith-based youth and all these other organizations around Baltimore and starting to do things for themselves, to build. And it's mainly Black American communities. Now, one, that was the work that they were doing. And secondly, the acronym, build. Something very positive. You build something. And I remembered, I'm from Blue Morph, therefore, Blue Morph United in Leadership Development. That's when the idea started. So over time it came, and then in 2018, while I was unemployed, I started moving in that direction, spoke to a few people had interest, but my frustrations kept me away from doing what's supposed to be done. Up until last year when I was suspended from work, and I had the opportunity to give that time, and I started developing a founding ideas document, which I shared with some of the people in Blue Morph, and people were like happy about the idea. So that is where the idea came from.
You just highlighted something I forgot. The time you were unemployed, it was mostly in Bloemfontein.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't know what you were doing that time. What were you doing?
I was the delivery guy for Take a Lot and Mr. T. A very, very...
But you could have said, man, hey, I can't do this. I have a lot of papers.
No, man, I was not born for a posh office work. I was not born for any type of work. What is critical is for me to make a living.
The reason why I highlight this is because a lot of kids coming up finish matric, others finish varsity. Then they go home and say, I can't do this, I can't do that.
That's unfortunate, because if people should know, if there has been a moment of learning in my life, after the University of the Western Cape, my period as a driver at Take a Lot and Mr. D was the most educational process. I can tell you now, I know people's relationships, relating to people, I know it like the back of my hand. I know customer service like the back of my hand. And I have met up very great people in that space. So people would lose opportunities in life because they want to work in air conditioned
So
offices.
what can you tell those young ones looking at things like that? I'm from varsity, I must come and drive and drive food around. No, what can you tell them?
They said, I told some youngsters in Blue Morph, and they laughed in my face, and I think they still don't believe it. If I would be in Blue Morph, I would wake up in the morning to go and up the lorry and go and work in a farm at Baradat if I don't get employment. I will do that. If I'm supposed to make a living, I will do that. I'm not going to stay home and steal and then be ashamed of doing some menial jobs just because I think I'm educated.
Legal jobs.
I will go up the lorry, like they would say in Blue Morph. I would go there. And in the process of me toiling that soil, I would be learning a process of starting my own thing.
You can even practice at home.
Yeah, so
to plant those things.
It's unfortunate that people see themselves as these high ups and all those whatever. I'm not that person. I'm the most basic you can find, I believe. I don't care about fancy things much.
So yeah, I'm glad they had that part now. Bra T, back to Build.
Okay, Build is an organization that has about 8 focus areas. It will be governance, ethics, and leadership development. That's 1. 2, skills and educational development. Education and skills development. 3, business and entrepreneurship development. Safe and secure neighborhoods. That's number 4. Number 5, health and welfare. Number 6, economic and social development. Number 7, I wonder whose portfolio I'm forgetting. They are going to tell you, say I'm not taking them serious. There's other 2 portfolios which are slipping my mind now. But that is the organization that we have established, and we've got very committed people there who's already started coming up with very bright ideas around what we can do for our community.
Yeah, and I have my reasons for not committing that time, because these things, if I want to do this, and you want a meeting and I'm busy with this, I don't want us to close it. So I was like, no, let me not commit.
Piet called me here for an interview, and now he's giving me his excuse for not supporting the movement. But
I'm supporting the movement.
I understand, Piet.
I'm supporting the movement from behind.
Yeah, no, but honestly, we've got very bright people who are working with us there. The principal of Raupalelu, Mr. Porisho Rambau, is the deputy chairperson. We've got Reggie Dintwa, a very bright youngster who is the secretary. We've got another bright star from our hometown, Orapele Matsidiso, who serves as the deputy secretary, and the others. Yeah, we've got Dr. Lekaba from the University of Northwest, who heads our portfolio on governance, leadership, ethics and leadership development, and many others.
Don't forget Pule
Mukhorosi, our skills and education and skills development. There are many others who are doing quite good. Ndate Pakiso Mudise, who is our treasurer, my own daughter, Katlego, who
isn't that nepotism?
Call it whatever you want, but she is part of the organization. She serves as the business and entrepreneurship development. Okame Moremi, who serves as economic and social development portfolio. You will have Mondo Matunda with health and social welfare. And
so far, Build wasn't launched most formally.
We have not launched. What we have decided as an organization, we want to run this organization as an interim structure for a year or 2, because we want to entrench the founding principles of the organization. Because one thing that I have picked up, because I've been involved in formations of various structures in my youth, where an idea will come, we present it, we take it to the masses elect Piet, Rasdin and whoever, and then those people go out there and turn the organization into something else that was not meant to be. See, but then because we have an understanding of what this organization is and what we want it to represent, we are saying we would run it for a year or 2, entrench its founding values, and then from there, as we take it to the masses to elect their new leaders, then we would have the ground having been toiled, and then people will understand what this organization is about. So that is what we want to do.
So, Brati, how is it different from a political party? Or
it's completely different. It's not one. We are all agreed that we will.
Or is it the external municipality that you are making, and once you take over, you just move everyone into the municipal office like that?
No. Civil society organizations are a backbone of every development. We want to inculcate the culture of self-help, doing for yourself. We want our people to move away from government empire kind of mentality. We want our people to start saying we are able to do this ourselves. You see? An example, one of the flagship programs that is from the chair's office will be a emerging farmers development program, where we would want to have a program where 40 youth, 20 of them for crop farming, 20 of them for livestock farming, trained from toiling the soil to farm management. Where we intend to partner with various agricultural associations, the Department of Land Affairs and Agriculture, and also involve the Agri-SETA, where they would be sponsoring the money to have these people will not just be trained to do the work, they would also be taken through the theoretical training of this, where they would go through various unit standards of farm management, farm soil toiling, and all those kind of things. So that ultimately when they end there, they can form their own cooperatives or go independently and start their own small farms. One, it will contribute to the issue of food security. two, it would also assist us when we talk about the return of the land. Because the other thing is, we're talking return of the land. When you return the land, who is going to be given that land? Do they even have an inkling of how to manage the production in that land? Because one of the things that is most scared and talked about is that we might give the land back and there would be a problem with food securities. But if you start the process while government is deciding on policies and regulations on giving away up the land, then you have people trained as farmers who will toil and develop and produce from that land. So that is one of the flagship programs of this organization.
Since you were concentrating on land, is there land available in Bloemhof?
A lot. I actually worked, part of, when I talk about facilities, part of what I was doing was also that part of the land use management scheme was on my department, because by then Lekwatemane did not have the Planning and Development Directorate. So all the issues of the land use, people wanting to buy land, the use of the land and everything was part of my responsibility. So there's a lot of land, I know that for a fact.
Boys.
Underused. And also you would have a situation where farmers would complain that the government is not taking care of its land, and then people come in, push in their livestock in there, overgrazing happen, and immediately when you overgraze this area, it affects the next piece of land next door, because you must remember that the grass, there should be seed production that will be taken by the wind to another side, so that they should be regrowth and all those kind of things. So when you overgraze the land, the grass dies because it does not have an opportunity to produce seeds, and then it dies, and that land becomes barren. So those are the kind of things. When government does not take care of its land property, it results in that land becoming useless. So those are some of the things that are happening in our municipality. And with this organization, with the development of entrepreneurship and all those kind of things, we could start teaching our people around these issues. Not saying what Oatile Letebele will do it, but we will form linkages with expert organizations that we would invite in, that will teach our people those kind of things, and then we will be able to use our land productively.
But so far, how is BUILD going to work? Because everyone that's on the board or part of the whole thing is in different places. You're all scattered around South Africa.
We've got the advantage of technology. That's one thing. We can still meet virtually and all those kind of things. We have agreed that we are going to establish subcommittees, but mostly members of the subcommittees must come from the locally based youth. So while I chair a committee, I can chair it from Gauteng, but the people who are doing the work on the ground will be locally based and all those kind of things. So those are some of the things that we still need to decide fully on. We are still a organization undergoing formation stages. So I think we would come to that point at some point.
So when will BUILD be introduced to the community finally?
I have been engaged with the committee last week about the possibility of a meeting during the Easter weekend. That meeting should sit, and then after that meeting we should then plot the way forward in terms of how we are going to be introducing the organization.
You're cutting into my schedule, Bra T. That weekend, when I'm there, I need to sit with Pule Mugoros. We agreed for Easter. So you must work out your...
Pule is a very versatile guy. He will find a way to deal with you and still attend the meeting.
Because I also have I think I have 2 interviews there. So I don't want to do them all in one day. I need to every day, the next one.
And you must attend our meetings.
But see, the last time you went live or you did that call, I fell asleep. I knew it's coming. And I fell asleep. Woke up, the meeting is finished. So on the next one, I'll be there.
Yeah, no, that will be nice.
So, Bra T, I think, did you share enough info about BUILD?
I think I did, but what I can say generally is that BUILD is not going to replace any organization in Bloemhof. BUILD's intention is to build onto what is existing in that organization. Some of the work we're not going to do ourselves, but we are going to capacitate organizations that are already on the ground. We will link organizations already on the ground with experts, people who are from outside. I mean, we've got networks, all of us in the organization, we've got networks. So we would use our networks to support organizations there locally. So Build is both a development organization, but we would also be dirtying our hands in some of the processes.
Is that your conclusion now?
That will be my conclusion.
So, before we end the whole podcast, to all these young ones out there, Bra T, any message for them? You know, most the kids nowadays, they are so discouraged and depressed. They just want to kill themselves. What can you tell them just to change their minds if they plan on hanging themselves tomorrow? Just to change their minds for the next year.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm not a good motivational speaker, but I always say my departure point is for the youth not to be like me, where you went through processes, but you still don't have products that comes with those processes. I have been part of many formations, many initiatives, but they have died in the process because of, one, my laziness, two, my procrastinations, three, I lose hope easily when people don't do what they promise to do. So mostly they should not be like me. They should go out there, man, and do the best, because it's possible. One thing about me that I have come to accept is that I'm achieving late all the time. My first tertiary qualification I've got when I was 32. So
no, but those things are circumstance based, most.
Yes, that is why I'm saying they should not be like me. They should go
the
out and get it.
The majority of us achieve things late.
Yeah.
Look, this podcast is coming late in my life. This guy is coming late into my life.
But broadly speaking, dreams are achievable. People should go out there and get their dreams, man. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for assistance. I'm one person who's not even ashamed of asking from a youngster in terms of advices. So go out there, get it done, and ask where you are lacking.
Bra T, thank you for coming on to the podcast. I think this is a wrap. But before I go, I would like to thank friends of the podcast, starting with Ronald. Thank you for being here, and Rustin recording, and two very important people that sponsored this stands. These are sponsored things.
Oh,
Dina Hata and Vava in Bloemhof. They sponsored the tripod. I mean the mic stands. So I'd like to say thank you very much to you guys. Thanks for being here, Bra T. Maybe there will be a part 2 in the near future. After build is launched, we'll talk again.
Thank you very much, man.
So in closing, guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. Check us out on YouTube. And please subscribe to the channel. Don't just watch the whole thing. And if you can't afford to watch the whole episode, you can always download the audio podcast from Google Podcast. Thank you, guys. Peace.
Da.